All right, let's dive in. Today we're going to Mars.
Ooh.
And you sent over some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about, maybe alien messages, even like a whole civilization under the ground. I
Wow.
mean, sounds like a movie,
Right.
right? It's pretty wild stuff, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Some of the things that you sent are a little bit out there,
Yeah.
but that's what we do. We go through this stuff, we try to figure it out, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So, with your help,
Absolutely.
let's separate the science fact from the fiction.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's always so exciting to dig into these mysteries.
Yeah.
Mars has always been this place that people have thought about and wondered about for centuries,
Totally.
and trying to find life anywhere else besides Earth. That's one of the most just interesting things about science,
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So,
Okay, so let's break it down.
okay.
The video starts off with this crazy image from NASA. It's these strange patterns in the sand dunes on Mars, and they almost look like Morse code.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is NASA actually released these images, right?
Right.
And it was taken near the North Pole of Mars in this place called the Haggal Dune Field. But like, what does it mean?
Right. So
Well,
these dunes have really caused a lot of buzz.
yeah.
The video says that it spells out a message.
Oh, wow.
But if you look at it, it's just kind of like letters,
Hmm.
And NASA at first said that these patterns are just the wind interacting with a crater from a long time ago.
Okay.
And you have to remember that the atmosphere on Mars is a lot thinner
Right.
than the atmosphere on Earth.
Right.
So the wind can act in some pretty weird ways.
So you're saying the Martian wind is like making art?
Well, it's not that simple.
Okay.
Scientists are still looking into this and figuring it out. We don't know everything about how these things show up,
Okay.
but most scientists think that it's this mix of things like the wind blowing in two directions and it gets interrupted, and that makes those dot and dash patterns
Okay.
that we see, and it's really cool. This is a good example of, even though these things on Mars look simple,
Right.
they can be really complex puzzles for scientists.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's move on to the good stuff.
Okay.
Water.
Oh yeah.
The video says there's proof of actual flowing water on Mars.
Okay.
And they're looking at these time-lapse images, and you can see these dark streaks that kind of show up.
Hmm.
On the slopes of Mars, they even found like thousands of these streaks
Wow.
in Valles Marineris, which is this, I mean, it makes the Grand Canyon look like nothing.
Yeah.
This massive canyon system
It's huge.
on Mars, right? It's crazy.
Absolutely.
And get this, the video is saying this water might be coming from underground,
Okay.
which means there could be this giant hidden water system under the surface.
Interesting.
I mean, that just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Well,
So those dark streaks,
yeah.
they're called recurring slope lineae,
Okay.
or RSLs for short.
RSLs, got it.
And they're one of the most interesting things we found on Mars in the past few years.
Wow.
And they seem to come and go with the seasons,
Oh, wow.
which makes us think that they're made by water flowing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And there's evidence that those RSLs happen when salty water, we call it brine,
Okay.
seeps up from underground and goes downhill.
Uh-huh.
The key is this stuff called perchlorates,
Okay.
which is a type of salt that's in the soil on Mars.
Okay.
And these perchlorates make the water super salty,
Oh, wow.
like so salty we couldn't drink it,
Yeah.
and it'd be really hard for anything to live in it
Gotcha.
that we know of.
So, not exactly like, bottled water,
No,
but still water on Mars. That's huge, right?
absolutely, it is huge.
Yeah.
And we haven't totally figured out where it's all coming from,
Right.
but most scientists think that it comes from ice melting under the ground. And it's really interesting to think that Mars might have all this hidden water,
Yeah.
maybe even left over from
Uh-huh.
when it used to be a lot wetter.
That's awesome. So, speaking of Mars being wetter in the past,
Yeah.
this is where the video gets really interesting.
Okay.
They say this underground water could be coming from, get this,
What?
an underground Martian civilization.
Whoa.
Right.
That's a big one.
I know they even connect it back to those,
Yeah.
possible structures we talked about on Mars before.
Right. Right.
And they're saying that maybe we should be looking underground for life.
Okay.
What do you think?
So this is where we have to, be careful.
Okay.
It's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
A hidden civilization.
Yeah.
But we really have to look at the evidence.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're talking about like weird scars on the surface, like
Yeah.
possible tunnels,
Mm-hmm.
and even like things that look like they're moving inside those tunnels. I mean, some of those pictures, I gotta admit, it's hard to explain them away.
Well, I understand why people might think that.
Yeah.
It's exciting to think about what we don't know.
Right.
But when you say something really big like that,
Yeah.
you got to have really, really good proof.
Okay.
And we have to think about other explanations.
Right.
And remember that
Yeah.
it's really hard to understand pictures
Yeah.
from another planet, especially when they're taken from so far away.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like trying to see what's on a coin from all the way across a football field.
Wow. Yeah.
So what looks like movement, maybe it's just a trick of the light,
Okay.
or we're just not seeing the picture clearly enough.
Right.
We need to get closer
Yeah.
to be sure.
Okay, so should we hold off on buying that one-way ticket to Mars then?
For now, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
these questions, this drive to figure out what's out there, that's what makes science so great.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so
Yeah.
we talked about a lot in this first part.
Yeah.
We talked about those weird dune formations on Mars.
Right.
The crazy evidence of water actually flowing there.
Uh-huh.
And even the mind-blowing idea of a civilization underground.
Yeah.
But does that water really mean there's this advanced civilization hiding down there?
Right. Good question.
I don't know. We'll have to see what you think when we come back for part 2.
Okay, sounds good.
And we'll unpack more of the video and try to separate the fact from the fiction, all right?
Sounds good.
Stick with us.
Awesome.
Welcome back to our Martian adventure. Before we took that break, we were talking about, the mind-blowing possibility of a whole civilization living under the ground on Mars, and all because of those signs of liquid water.
Yeah, the evidence for water, even if it's super salty, it really changes how we think about Mars.
Exactly. And this video you shared really goes all in on this idea, right? They're saying those RSLs, those dark streaks we were talking about,
Yeah.
could actually be some kind of Martian like irrigation system,
Yeah.
like a way for the civilization underground to get water up to the surface.
Wow.
What do you think? Could these streaks be more than just like natural stuff happening?
Well, the video points to those streaks as like proof that something intelligent made them.
Right.
But right now, most scientists think there's a more natural explanation.
Okay.
The main theory is that these streaks are made by a process called deliquescence.
Deliquescence.
It's a big word.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool process. Basically, the salts in the Martian soil, they soak up moisture from the air.
Oh, okay.
And when enough moisture builds up, it creates these salty flows that we see as the dark streaks.
Okay, so maybe not an alien plumbing system then.
Probably not.
But the video also keeps talking about this one place on Mars, Valles Marineris.
Oh, yeah.
Which is that massive canyon system.
Which gigantic.
We talked about. Right. And they're not just saying there's water there, they're saying the whole canyon might
Really?
be artificial.
Wow.
Like it was made by something?
So Valles Marineris is just it's way bigger than anything on Earth.
Right.
And we're still trying to figure out how it was formed.
Okay.
But to say that some ancient Martian civilization made it,
Yeah.
like the video says, that's a really big jump, scientifically speaking.
Gotcha.
There's just no proof of that.
Okay, but I gotta admit, they make it sound pretty convincing in the video. They even show what look like tunnels, like all over the surface of Mars,
Mhm.
and they say those tunnels could be entrances to this huge underground world. What else could make those formations if not something artificial?
Well, we look at Mars through our own eyes, our own understanding of things.
Right.
So what might look artificial to us
Yeah.
could just be natural stuff happening that we don't fully understand yet.
Okay.
Like a good example here on Earth is the Giant's Causeway.
Okay.
It's in Northern Ireland. You ever seen pictures of it?
I think so.
It's these perfectly shaped hexagonal columns made of basalt.
Okay.
They look totally man-made,
Right.
but they were made by a volcano a long, long time ago.
Wow. So it's like nature can make some pretty amazing stuff.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that nature can create some really weird and unexpected things.
That's a good point. We got to be careful about like putting our own ideas onto what we see on Mars.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so back to those tunnel-looking formations. It's true. I mean, some of them do kind of look like collapsed lava tubes.
Yeah.
And we have those here on Earth too, right?
Right. And we know that Mars used to have a lot of volcanoes.
Okay, so it makes sense that those kinds of things could be there.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
But then what about those pictures that look like things are moving inside the tunnels? I mean, the video uses that as proof that there's something alive down there.
Right. Those pictures are definitely interesting.
Yeah.
But we got to remember that a lot of times the pictures we get from Mars, they're not very clear.
Right.
They're taken from really far away,
Yeah.
like hundreds of miles above the surface.
Wow.
It's like trying to see the details on a coin from all the way across a football field.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So what looks like something moving, it could just be an illusion,
Okay.
or we're just misinterpreting the pictures because they're not clear enough.
Right.
We need to get closer and get better pictures to really know for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So we got to be cautious. But we should also be open to the idea that something unexpected is happening down there.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that brings us back to those RSLs.
Okay.
Even if they're not an irrigation system.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they exist, along with all the other stuff we found,
Right.
it really suggests that Mars could support life.
Wow.
Maybe even life. That's totally different from
Wow.
anything we know.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So if it got too hard to live on the surface of Mars,
Yeah.
wouldn't it make sense for life to move underground?
That's a logical idea.
Right.
And finding water under the ground, even salty water,
Uh-huh.
makes this idea even stronger.
Right.
Like imagine Mars billions of years ago,
Yeah.
when it was warmer and wetter,
Right.
as the surface dried up and the air got thinner.
Yeah.
Maybe life adapted and moved underground,
Okay.
finding pockets of water and shelter from the harsh environment.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the canyon, the tunnels, and the water. But what about this whole dirty water thing?
Oh, right.
The video really pushes the idea that the water on Mars could be like wastewater from a civilization underground.
Okay.
Is there any science behind that?
Well, it's a fun thought.
Yeah.
But the evidence just doesn't support it.
Right.
We know the water in those RSLs is super salty because of the perchlorates.
Right. Right.
And that high salt content, it's most likely from natural stuff.
Okay.
The way the water interacts with minerals on Mars over millions or even billions of years.
So we're back to needing data and real science to understand what we're seeing.
Exactly. Trying to uncover the truth about Mars, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And each new piece of information, each new picture brings us closer to understanding its secrets.
Right.
We got to balance our curiosity and excitement with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay.
Always looking for the most likely explanations.
That's a good way to put it. Well said. That wraps up part 2 of our deep dive into the mysteries of Mars.
Okay.
We've explored some pretty wild claims about artificial stuff and civilizations underground.
Yeah.
But we've also seen how science helps us untangle those mysteries.
Yeah, absolutely.
But does the evidence really hold up? We'll keep exploring that in part 3,
Okay.
where we'll separate the speculation from the scientific facts,
Cool.
and we'll leave you with some thought-provoking questions about the future of Mars exploration.
Cool.
Don't go anywhere. Welcome back.
Oh.
We've covered some pretty wild territory in this deep dive, huh?
We have.
I mean, alien messages, hidden cities, those strange dark streaks.
Right.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, it has.
So after all this, where do we stand? Are we any closer to proving that we're not alone out there?
Well, the question of life beyond Earth, I mean, it's still one of the biggest mysteries in science.
Right.
And while the video makes some pretty big claims, we have to keep in mind that science is a process. We're always discovering new things and changing our understanding as we get more information.
Right, but the video does make one really interesting point. I think we've barely scratched the surface when it comes to exploring Mars, right?
That's true.
What if the really exciting stuff like proof of life, past or even present life, is hidden underground?
That's a possibility that scientists are taking very seriously.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that we found liquid water, even if it's salty,
Right.
it means that there could be places underground where life could exist.
It makes you wonder, what What if those dark streaks, the RSLs,
Yeah.
what if they're more than just salty water? What if they're like a clue to a whole history of life on Mars that we're just starting to understand?
That's what's so amazing about science.
Yeah.
Every discovery leads to more questions, and it makes us want to learn more.
It's like,
Right now, we think those RSLs are formed naturally.
yeah.
But as we keep studying them, who knows?
Mm.
We might find something that changes everything.
I love that idea of always being curious, always pushing the boundaries of what we know.
Absolutely.
It reminds me of that Carl Sagan quote,
Oh, yeah.
somewhere something incredible is waiting to be known.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Right. And Mars with its ancient landscapes and the hints of water, it's like the perfect place to find those incredible things.
It really is.
Okay, so maybe we don't have proof of aliens or underground cities yet,
Yeah.
but we've learned that Mars is way more dynamic and complex than we thought.
Right.
It has a history, it has water, and it could even have life.
And that's pretty amazing in itself.
It really is. And as we keep exploring Mars with robots and hopefully with humans someday,
Yeah.
who knows what we'll find, it could change everything we know about our place in the universe.
I can't wait to see what the future holds for Mars exploration.
Me too. Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our Martian deep dive.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was, we tackled some pretty wild ideas. We learned about the amazing science of Mars, and hopefully we got you thinking about the mysteries that are still out there.
For sure.
And who knows, maybe someday, thanks to the hard work of scientists and explorers,
Yeah.
we'll finally be able to answer that big question, are we alone?
I hope so.
That's a great place to leave it. Keep looking up at the stars, keep asking questions, and never stop exploring the wonders of our universe.